Been in the industry for about 10 years, specifically in the expedite trucking space. So about 8 years with Panther Expedite and a year and a half with Cunningham and Reid, and just recently started about 4 or 5 months ago with DTH Expeditors, and very excited to be here and spend some time with these guys and talk a little bit about SONAR and what's happening in the industry.
Thanks, Corey. Let's go ahead. Let's move over to our FreightWaves residents. Go ahead, guys. Introduce yourselves.
Everybody, Reid Clements here again on the night shift. Excited to come back and bring some exciting news to everybody.
Tim Brownell, FreightWaves, SONAR, account executive for a little bit of a tenure status now. So we're trying to beef up the night shift a little bit, bring on some very special guests, help our friends out here, Kyle and Reid, and let the questions flow, ladies and gentlemen.
Tim, that's such a great point. I'm so glad to have all these guys here tonight. We've made such strides from our genesis way back about 3 months ago to where we are today, and it's all thanks to the absolutely amazing crew, from the guys that put this together to behind the scenes. Thank you so much, and thank you to all the people that watch at home. Speaking of those guys that are watching at home, like Tim said, this is a user-driven content show. We want to see your questions, we want to see your comments, we want to see your concerns. Let's dive right into it, talk about some real deal news for the small carriers out in the world. So guys, look at this. 2 Texas truckers and estate workers sold hundreds of fake commercial driver's licenses. Now, that seems pretty dangerous to me. What's your take, Reid?
If I understood the article correctly, he was accepting bribes to let people pass and get their CDL license without taking a test, and then lying about it to everyone. And he got caught recently. I think it ended up getting caught last year, but it's just now getting a lot of airtime, if I read it correctly. But it sounds like he's taking a lot of jobs. I hate to be very cliche about it, but he's taking the jobs away from other people who deserve it, really.
No, absolutely. And as a guy who went through those tests, it's no easy fact to get through those. There's a lot of steps to go through. Now, Tim, you got history in brokerage aspects. Have you ever had to deal with any sort of fraudulent CDLs or fraudulent insurance certificates?
Maybe insurance. I think when it comes to MC numbers being still active, is probably the biggest concern that we've had. Obviously, claims and accidents, not necessarily driver's license.
Right, right.
So that's something fairly new that I've seen here recently, especially on a mass scale with the state of Texas being the size of it is, right?
Well, it's crazy because, I mean, and you don't understand this as well. Trucking it's such a safety-sensitive job. Having somebody behind the wheel with a license that's not valid, I mean, you're talking families are at risk here, right?
Absolutely. You're going to be set up to a lot of, if you have a driver that hasn't gone through the proper procedures to get themselves the proper CDL, there's going to be families, the freight's in danger, the people that are on the road are in danger. Driving a 24-foot straight truck or a 53-foot unit, that's not the easiest thing in the world to do, as you well know from being behind the wheel. And if these guys have not gone through the proper training, that's just, it's very dangerous for everyone that is involved within this situation here.
Hey, Corey, will you run me through kind of what you do day to day and what the focus of DTH is? And by the way, I'm so happy to have you here. It's really awesome to have a first live guest on the night shift. So tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, and kind of your history.
Well, excellent. So again, I've been in the industry for about 10 years now, and in my current role, I'm the Vice President of Sales with DTH, and what I actively do is go out and meet with direct shippers as far as their time critical and urgent shipments. So to be frank with you, it's kind of your oh crap moments, if you will.
Absolutely.
The time where there's not a better scenario that's out there where the cost of failure exceeds the cost of transportation. That is really where we are going to come in to where if, let's be specific within the automotive industry, and if you're running an automotive line and you're producing a car every 45 seconds, your tack time is every 45 seconds, and your line is going to get shut down if it doesn't have those automotive parts because you're missing the front fender, whatever the case may be of that car part, the line's going to get shut down and it's going to halt the entire process. So the cost of failure for that part to get there is going to exceed the cost of that transportation. So we're quite literally the oh crap carriers, and we're going to be able to come in and move that freight and get it there to keep the lines running.
Man, that sounds super interesting. I ran expedited stuff for a while. I actually ran team. I had a load one time. Crazy story. So it was Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl back in the day. I had a trailer full of blank blue shirts that had to be in Portland to be printed for the Seahawks win. if they won, right?
If they
Because you
won,
know how
right.
they print the shirts beforehand.
Yeah, sure.
We got shut down at the top of 84, Cabbage, they call it the Big Hill.
Right.
We couldn't move. I had a broker calling me probably every 30 seconds wondering where his shirts were. We made it there on time, but I know what it's like to see those times when it's touch and go. So crazy stuff happening with these guys. I don't know what's going to happen, but it ended up looking like 215 fraudulent CDLs. So I reckon these guys are probably going to see jail cell.
I think the real problem, Kyle, I just pulled up SONAR here on my computer and the numbers. The problem with 215 extra CDLs on the road is the overcapacity problem. And I just pulled it up here quickly from the end of April 2018 to end of April of this past year. There's over 71,000 new fleets being accounted for in the United States, and if 215 of those were illegally handed out driver's license. Not to say they're full fleets, but it all counts for something. And if people are getting it the wrong way instead of the right way, it makes it harder on everybody else who is going out the right way and getting their CDLs and trying to make a living, right?
Man, that's such a good point. You can see clearly if we splash over to the SONAR screen real quick, the total number of fleet counts in the USA, especially with the booming economy over the last 6, 7, 8 years, pretty much just a straight trajectory up. As time goes along, if we back this out a little bit, you can see that there's times when these are going to drop off and they're going to spike up pretty high. Love to hear what you guys are thinking out there on the road. Please definitely drop us a comment, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're taking a look. Please interact. Tell us what's up. So let's go ahead. Let's move back over and see. We've got a really interesting, staying in Texas. I saw today, FreightWaves.com, Houston firm invests technology to transform cow manure to a fuel for a heavy-duty truck.
I like it.
Give me your thoughts on that one.
Hey, I mean, with everything that's happened with the green movement that's out there, I mean, that's one of the biggest news stories that's going on with with everyone trying to go green. If they can turn cow manure into a viable petroleum alternative and help the environment, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Tim, think about this. You got cow manure powering a truck that's taking oil out of the oil fields. How about that for irony,
Yeah,
right?
well, they say the U.S. is leading manufacturer in crude oil right now. So is this kind of what's adding to that, or is this, just another revenue for money? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, Reid, let's talk about what's been happening in the world of SONAR. We've had some really fantastic updates in the last 2 weeks. I've been out. I've been actually just got married, so that's a little hiatus on the night shift. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Enjoying married life, loving it. Tell me a little bit about SONAR. Tell me a little bit about some stuff to look at since I've been gone.
Well, since you've been gone, we've added CO2 emissions data from all sorts of different perspectives, from all sorts of different industries. You can pull it up in SONAR. I think I'm trying to pull it up right now.
I think it's .tn, isn't it?
It sounds right.
One of the, here we go. Let's call it, let's see what's happening. How about, CO2 emissions from the coal usage in Tennessee? What do these look like? Looks like Wi-Fi here in this building. That is the issue sometimes with being in an old, what was this place before? It was an old dance hall, wasn't it?
Well, it was an old dance hall, and then more recently it was a World of Beer restaurant.
Wow.
Can't speak much
crazy.
to that. We
crazy.
enjoy our time here, though.
I tell you one thing that's new in SONAR, and we'll flash over to it real quick. The concept of being able to see live traffic reports. Pretty insane stuff. So
it's nice to hear from the traffic jam man himself, actually.
That's me, always trying to bring a little more visibility to the SONAR platform. Having the live traffic feeds inside of the platform now gives you the ability to not just see what's happening in real time, but what we're doing with our traffic jam segment is we are now able to go ahead and give you an idea of a rundown and say, hey, this highway is going to be closed. You might find yourself shut down here and having to find a detour. So flashing over to the map real quick, I'm really glad that I'm not in Chicago right now because it is dark, dark red. That's I-90 in both directions looking real bad. So have you guys spent much time in Chicago? Have you brokered a lot of freight out of Chicago?
Oh, absolutely. I think Chicago, next to probably Chattanooga in our own backyard, is the biggest for brokerages that we see. So tell us, Kyle, how real time is this? These maps, these DOT cameras that we have access to.
So you're not gonna see anything longer than 10 minutes out.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's gonna give you the ability to take this and pretty much run with it. So one thing, this is your real first foray into SONAR, correct?
Yes, it is.
So let's go ahead. I want to explain SONAR to you in a concept of being able to see this on a big picture scale and understand where does this data come from, why is it important, and what can you do with it. So first off, we're going to run over here we've got some charts made up, and from being gone, it looks like sometimes you got to just hit the refresh button. You know what I mean?
Refresh. Well, while you're refreshing here, we did have a comment. Ryan Kent said there's so many companies doing it the wrong way, and they get away with it. I'm assuming we're problem here. Not a problem, actually. We're live on LinkedIn and Facebook, so I'm going back and forth.
Yeah,
so,
that's great, man.
Ryan, apologies on the delay here, but we do see what you're saying here. There are so many companies doing it the wrong way. It takes away from everyone else doing it the right way. It makes it that much harder. It's like the steroid epidemic, really, in baseball. To kind of go back and forth to something else everyone is very familiar with, is Barry Bonds. Is he the home run king? I think that was today that the anniversary happened where he beat Hank Aaron's home run record. Is he the home run king, even though he did it the wrong way? Obviously, he had a heck of a swing.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Let me bring it back to the trucking industry, right? Is the guy that runs from coast to coast on a piece of toast with 3 logbooks, is he still, the super driver? Granted, when people take an advantage, no matter what, that advantage, when it comes down on paper, it kind of sticks. The validity of something comes down to, hey, what does the public believe? Mm-hmm. Talking about validity, being able to bring it back over to SONAR, let's go ahead and flash over to this screen that I've brought up. We're looking at our DAT van freight rate. So $1.42 a mile, no fuel surcharge, no accessorial. And we're also comparing this to our outbound tender rejections.USA, so the total United States. So I'll explain the outbound rejections for you. Mm-hmm. Basically, we have partnered with over 200 different TMS partners. And we're able to see inside of that data and see, hey, anonymously, are the tenders, where are they moving to and from? And then, what are the carriers saying in regards to an acceptance or a rejection? If they're readily accepting the freight, that's telling me rates are low. Yep. As the rejections begin to climb, that's when you're going to see that volatility. Back here in 2018, you can see super high. The really interesting thing here is the fact that the outbound tender rejections clearly follow and lead the rates. And in fact, they actually lead inside of SONAR by about 3 days. So if you're looking for a perspective to say, where's my magic ball? Where are these rates heading in the next few days? There's only one platform available, and that's right here, right now. So let's talk about that. In terms of outbound rejections, currently 3.9%. When I first started at FreightWaves, I didn't think it'd go lower than 4%. Up or down? Where's it go? Up or down?
I didn't think it could go any lower, and it's obviously gone lower and lower and lower. And at some point, there has to be a floor, and you'd hate to see the floor being 0% tender rejections. And I don't think that's even possible, really. But I honestly think there's room to go down still. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news for the carrier side of things, but I think it's going down.
Well, Tim, let me get your take. Where are you at? Up or down?
I think it may go up, and the reason I'm trying to be optimistic here is because if you look at where we are now compared to the volumes of last year, we're actually up higher than we were in 2018.
Great point.
And that's kind of what everybody reverts to, is how good last year was, right? So I think that there is still a potential for the rest of 2019 to not only taper off, but maybe to stay at least relevant, or maybe go up this fourth quarter.
Right on. Corey,
a lot of optimism.
I'm kind of with Reid with this one here. I think it's going to either go down or stay about flat. I mean, there's just excess capacity in the market. I think the shortened produce season with the very wet spring that we had, agriculture's been down this year, which has kind of been flooding the FTL market with excess capacity in that space, which is going to kind of lead to, I really do see it continuing to stay kind of flat, or potentially even going down a little bit further. The trucks are just out there, and people are going to take what they're going to get. So I can see that staying at that sub-4 mark.
Well, not to overpower you here, Kyle, that's the wrong terminology, but still, Blake England, one of our SONAR reps here, even posted on LinkedIn today, kind of a comparison to what we're talking about. He posted how even though we're above volume levels now that we were last year, kind of somewhat well above it now than we were last year, there's been a huge surplus of capacity. And in a capitalist market, it's not all about demand. The supply takes effect in that too. So with capacity and volumes being a two-sided sword here, you have to take a look at, although volumes are higher, there's so much more capacity to kind of take advantage of that. Then you may not see tender rejections spike back up anymore for a while.
Well, I'm going to fill you guys in on something right here. I'm pulling up this head haul volume map at the same time that I'm taking a look at our DAT rate yet again. So we previously just took a look at the concept of the DAT rate in comparison to the outbound tender rejections. On the right side of our SONAR page here, we can see that rate, that yellow line that we're looking at, that's Class 8 orders. So, I mean, take a look at what happens when that pump of the rates go super high. The answer to that is about 3.5 weeks later that the actual truck orders begin to rise. And then as soon as it's over with, you can see right back down. Class 8 orders.
Look how hard it fell, too.
It's fallen, and this last pump is really interesting because those rates rising like that with the Class 8 orders not rising, that is telling me that that's just a grab to grab some cash and put them back in the pockets, right? Cool.
Exactly.
Cool. So let's take a look. I'm going to kill this page. Just so you know, if you want to get involved with SONAR, it's extremely easy to get started. All you got to do, send us a quick message, throw a comment in the box. We got 3 qualified guys right here, and I'm sure with a couple minutes, Corey himself would be able to give you a demo on it. But what we're going to do, we're going to give you a demo, we're going to run you through the platform, analyze your markets, and then we're going to go ahead and enable you to have a free trial to use this in your day-to-day operations. In terms of the things coming into this platform, boy howdy, if I could give away some secrets right now, it would be pretty cool. All I can say, stay tuned for the next 8-9 weeks, and you're going to see some stuff.
Even more than that, I hate to plug our own things, but we have a SONAR Lunch and Learn a week from today here at the office. Come by, grab lunch with us, hang out with us. We'll talk SONAR.
Yep.
We got some specials going on for in-person people too. So if you're close by Chattanooga, plan on coming by. Give us a shout about that too.
Yeah.
Now, is this carriers and brokers or a combination of both?
That's a good question, Tim. Just for carriers on Wednesday, a week from today, just carriers. We'll do a brokerage one.
I think we're going to branch out to the brokerage aspect. You know, we're the kind of guys, we'll get in the truck, we'll get in the car and drive around and go visit people. But what we wanted to do is be able to bring folks, obviously we love having guests on, bring folks to the building, show off our amazing headquarters, I guess you could call it, and be able to give you a perspective of just what we do. So moving forward, we're going to take a look now at our head haul index. So what we do with head haul is we take our outbound tender volume that I was mentioning, and then we have our inbound tender volume. We take the outbound, we subtract the inbound, we come up with a number, right? Makes sense? So what we got on this map, if you see a blue zone here, the blue zone is indicating that there's a greater amount of freight versus, greater amount of freight outbound versus freight inbound. On the opposite side, you see a red zone here. You got Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona. That's telling me there is so much more inbound freight that's coming in that all those empty trailers, they're going to be struggling for a load.
So a small carrier here, they would want to matriculate more to the blue zones, if I'm hearing this correctly, right?
Well, that is funny you say that. Have you heard us talking about blue to blue on our show?
Potentially.
Okay, all right,
but
right on.
That being said, I mean, it does make a lot of sense. If there's more freight that's going outbound and there's less trucks that are going to be there, you want to be in those blue zones because there's a higher propensity to get that freight and be able to have a load, and you're not going to be sitting there for days on end because there's more freight to be had in those zones.
When you're playing the slots, you don't play the one that you win every 100 tries. You play the one you win every 10 tries.
Yeah, and the whole thing about this is say you find yourself up here, you know, right north Fort Wayne, Indiana, you're struggling to find a load. Well, right down the road in Indy, you've got options. Over in Chicago, you've got options as well. So, you know, what we like to do is kind of go through and take a nice, healthy perspective of the market and see what's happening. What have you guys seen while I was gone? Any big moves, any big trajectories in terms of, you know, flips between Atlanta?
Shifts.
Yeah.
I think, actually, I think it was right before you left. It was somewhere in mid-July. Maybe you were just gone when there was a huge spike of outbound Chattanooga, and there happened to be a mega shift in inbound Atlanta too. So,
Interesting.
I mean, I'm not going to be the one that says they were all going to Atlanta or Atlanta was receiving a lot from Chattanooga, but
I mean, that's what the platform gives you, the empowerment to basically go in and make your decisions and start thinking of your trucking assets as more than just drivers and more than just trucks, but strategically place chess pieces on a national board of freight. And this is essentially your cheat sheet to be able to know, hey, I'm going to do well here, I'm going to do poorly here. Now, I want to talk to you. You've been here basically from before SONAR even launched. Can you give me like a 90-second, 2-minute rundown of what you've seen from the time you started here?
It's night and day. I mean, it was a beautiful concept when I first heard the pitch, when I first come on, right? And that's what really drew me to FreightWaves. But just seeing where we are, basically really a year later when we really got into it. Not just truckload anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about financing, we're talking about maritime, we're talking about rail rates, air cargo, every piece from the top of the supply chain, especially from the critical events
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah, let's jump over that. Let's take a look
really
what's going on
affect the ports and canals, any piece of transportation that really hits the U.S. market, really from the ocean all the way to your own backyard. So.
Man, that's incredible. Even when I first started, the weather map was, it was an amazing feature. In fact, the cameras and the weather were one of the first things that I saw about Sonar and said, I really got to know more about this. I like to say, I didn't know much, but I knew that I needed to know more, right?
You knew enough to want to know more.
Exactly.
And that's what matters, right?
And that's what we see with most people that give us a call here. You can see these big, bright screens right behind us. We are live inside of the FreightWaves Freight Alley HQ. And, the amazing thing about this place is if somebody has an awesome idea, they can be sitting at their desk and they can throw it up on the screen and everybody can kind of use it and collaborate with it. So, definitely, if you're nearby for that lunch and learn, please come by. I want to give you a behind-the-scenes tour, take you inside of the FreightWaves machine. So, Corey, tell me a little bit about your day-to-day operations. You guys are dealing with mostly straight trucks, is that correct?
Yes, we have a fleet of Sprinter vans and straight trucks.
Okay, awesome. And then do you work with a specific kind of sector of freight, or is it, what are you working with?
Well, in the time-critical freight area, our clients are heavy in the automotive space, medical device, aerospace, Department of Defense, kind of those spaces where the time is really of the essence, or the value of the freight is so high to where you want to move it in a dedicated piece of equipment. You don't want to commingle via LTL. You don't want to put it in partial via those types of modes as well. So more dedicated trucking, and those are the market sectors that we currently operate in.
That's awesome. So I'm just taking a little look here. Paul Askew asked.
I was about to bring it up.
Oh,
we
man.
got some questions.
Reading minds,
We're
right?
on it.
Paul Askew, how does this benefit the single owner operator? Man, if I had another hour and 2 hours, 3 hours, I could sit here and talk to you. Number one, how does this benefit you? The day-to-day operations of the single truck owner operator is that you have essentially one option, brokerages, right? And the brokerages, their main goal is to make as most margin for themselves as they possibly can. And the way they've done that is by keeping these facts, volumes, rejections, lead times, all of these things that give you, the carrier, an advantage. They've kept them secret, they've kept them hidden for so long. So now with the transparency that you're able to see what's going on, you're able to confidently say, I know that's not all you have in it. I know that that extra $50, that extra $70, that extra $200 on a load, that you're going to be able to confidently and really just straight up bid a better rate. And the thing about it is, us three, and even Corey, we gave him a little rundown beforehand. We run through this all day. We do this 8 hours a day, nonstop, 6 days a week sometimes.
8 hours. I'm on the 10-hour schedule.
He is on the 10-hour schedule. So I gotta give major props to our customer success team. We're the outreach. We bring them in. Once you guys are on board, we have a world-class, dedicated customer success team that's going to take you from step one all the way to basically ongoing education. It goes like this, and I say this every single show because it's so true. Remember when you're a kid and you're playing video games, right? And you first get this video game, it's like, I don't know how to do this. I'm all confused. And then 2 weeks later, and you got kids, you've seen it happen too. We were talking about this in Charleston, the kids with the tablets, they're right into it. Same story with SONAR, right? You get inside of SONAR, you take a couple classes with our customer success team, you've now got this on board. So for the small owner operators, for you, Paul, especially, one of us would love to give you a demo, would love to basically run you through how this would help you day to day. So hopefully that answers your question.
I got two quick things, Kyle.
Please.
First, it's not just to help owner operators, it's to provide transparency to
Absolutely.
everybody, be it carriers, brokers, shippers, financial institutes, real estate agents, anybody out there actually. It's giving transparency to level playing fields, to give everyone the same knowledge, so you don't have to come and say, I know something you don't know, and I'm going to make money off of it. It's about level playing fields, equality to that. The other side of that is just to dive just a touch deeper, and Paul, to answer your question even further, it's about four things. It's about volume, capacity, it's about sentiment, and it's about pricing discovery before pricing is available.
Yeah.
I think those four things are the number one things we have in SONAR. Couple that with weather and traffic cameras and fuel prices. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
I mean, and that's the whole thing, is that I highly recommend you guys to go back and watch previous episodes of Night Shift, because within the 30 minutes that we have here. We originally started an hour, and we realized that the hour is so long and we were covering so much that it really turned into this thing where, okay, let's shorten these down and make them a little more digestible. So go back and watch the previous episodes. We cover everything from legitimate diesel truck stop prices in each market. We can see wait times in each individual market. And I want to show you these screens in real time. As I run the show, it's a little difficult to basically flash the screens up and whatnot. But get on board with us. Get a line, and we've got a nice comment. Don't sell out the broker.
Yeah, let's say Scott and Beth came back and said, hey. And the point is, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. I don't want to listen. I worked at a brokerage. He worked at a brokerage. You know the industry. You know the industry. Brokerages are amazing. We love brokerages.
My wife was a broker.
Exactly.
I'm about it.
I don't look, and as a former driver, I don't look at brokers as snakes or anybody. Brokers, hey, they take care of your paperwork. They take care of your tracking and tracing. They take care of being able to bridge that gap as a small trucking fleet in between the shipper and the carrier. But the deal about it is that just like anything in American capitalism, there's people that play the game correctly, and there's people that are going to try to take advantage of you. Now, who you deal with is going to be dependent upon, where you find yourself in that realm. But regardless, if I'm going to get a new mortgage rate, I don't want to, go in asking for 10% if I know that rates are low, right?
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where it's at. Mortgage lenders, not bad people, but you sure could find yourself a bad one.
It goes back, to boil it down even further, it's he or she who knows more makes more.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and if you both know the same thing, then you're
both going to win.
Equality. Exactly. It makes it that much easier.
If you go to the go ahead. Sorry.
So that was my point. Is that it doesn't matter what industry or what sector of the industry, whether it be a shipper, a broker, or a carrier. You're all going to look at this data, but you're all going to view it differently, right?
Absolutely.
And that's where we come into play, because we're here to decipher those data sets, show you where it affects your daily business, money making decisions. Right?
Absolutely.
And then how to keep that going, right? And that's what SONAR is here. We use the word transparency a lot, but I feel that it really fits kind of the mold that we're trying to get into.
Yep.
And where we see ourselves in the future. So.
2-minute warning. Want to go ahead? Let's how do people get in contact with you if they want to talk to you?
For me, you can find me on LinkedIn under Corey Masuga, or shoot me. You can always contact me at 404-259-2025. Get a hold of me whenever you need.
There it is. Excellent. And these guys, how do they get in contact with you?
T.Brownell at FreightWaves.com. Cell 423-544-4716. Basically 24/7 with it. So
that's how we do it, my friend.
Yeah, Reid Clements. Find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all the fun stuff. I'm there. 423-619-2060 on my cell, anytime, anywhere. And R. Clements at FreightWaves.com.
See, I'm still using old stamps and letters. That's the only way to get
MySpace.
With me. Yeah, MySpace. You can find me on MySpace.
And mail.
All right, guys. Really appreciate all the comments, all the question, and oh man, I've made some brokers mad.
Yes.
Look, brokers, love you guys. Don't take it the wrong way. Please understand that we're all in this game together. The number one goal is to service the customer and service the customer with the utmost respect and the utmost gain financially for everyone involved. So understand that here on the night shift, we like everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Including you. So thanks for watching tonight. Be sure to tune in 7 p.m. every Wednesday. We're coming to you live from Freight Alley, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And you guys got anything else before we sign off for the night?
Yeah, next Wednesday, Lunch and Learn SONAR. If you're local, come on by.
Yeah.
Seriously, reach out to us. We got a spot for you.
All right. Take care.
All day.